Okay guys, in this lesson we're going to look at how you would complete activity 7 for part B of the new style exam. And this is going to be on the sample assessment material, which is the Sherbrooke Estate project. Now, this is actually quite easy. Once you get to this point, you are, I would say you've done the hard part of part B, which is activity 6, creating the forms. Part B is all about creating the forms. And you've done the hard bit once you've got to this stage. All you're going to do, excuse me, in activity 7 is you're going to test your interface. Now, much like you did in part A, the tests are all given to you, which makes this a lot easier than the old style exams, I think. So first of all, let's have a look at what it says in the actual task itself. So here we go, activity 7, interface and testing, and it says 20-minute job. Test the interface relational database using suitable test data, normal, erroneous and extreme as appropriate. So normal means data that's been expected, erroneous means error data, and extreme would be basically if it's a boundary value, looking at the extreme edges of what's acceptable, or if it's open, just putting in extremely high or low, etc. values. And in this we've got a good example of extreme data, which we'll get to in a minute. You must not add validation to any of the tables, so that's just looking about stuff going on within the forms. You must provide evidence of form level testing only that proves the supplier form is ready for data when the form opens. The delivery days cannot be above the top of the range. The delivery days cannot be below the bottom of the range. A record will save in the supplier table if the supplier details are present and valid. After the product has been selected, the number of deliveries delivered input, these details should be displayed: cost price, selling price, current number of stock. And after the product has been selected and the number delivered input, these details should be calculated, displayed: the new number in stock, the overall cost of the product in stock, and the overall sales value for the product in stock. Now, not only is there only 6 tests here for you to do within 20 minutes, that's 3 minutes per test. Actually, 5 and 6 can be done at the same time, because they're both, you could use the same set of data for both of these, and then on one test show one side of the data, and the other test show the other side of the data. So let's crack on. Let's have a look at what we get. So if you look in the OneNote, I've actually put the table on there. Now normally that would be in the that would be a document that's given to you, which is why I've copied and pasted it into the OneNote. In fact, I will add an example of that on there. So this activity 7, let's just drop that in place. Okay, so as well as having the table that I'll want you to fill it in on the OneNote, it has also got the document that you would see, and it's in the actual exam, it's a document that you would do. So just like on the previous one, we've got the test number, the type of test, the test date, the expected results, screenshots, and then this column's only completed if any errors happen. So let's look again at the first test it wants us to do. So the supplier form is ready for data entry when the form opens. Now, I've looked at this, and when they say ready for data entry, I'm assuming they probably want to see a blank record, but there's nothing in the specification to say that. However, I've put in the new button, which is fine. And you've got to remember, they're not going to be they're testing the final outcome, not necessarily the process. So what I'm going to do with this one is so it's test number 1. It's going to be normal data, and the test data is simply, there isn't no real test data. I'm just saying opening the form, and I'm expecting form to open, ready for input. And then what I'm going to do is, this is the supplier form, so click on that, click the new, there we go, done. And what I'm going to do is take my screenshot of that. So snipping tool, and pop that in there, and there we are, I'm done. I'm going to make that a bit smaller. And I would go through the same kind of thing. Now I'm going to do the second one for you as well. Oh, not there. See, because I want to do one where we can look at the data being entered. So, show that the delivery days cannot be above the top of the range. Okay, so that's 1 to 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use erroneous data, X, because I'm going to put in some error data, and my supplier ID should be an auto number, so I don't need to worry about that. My supplier equals Marcor. My supplier telephone equals 0123 123 456, and my days delivery equals 10, and that will be too high. Now, if they're asking us for more detailed testing here, this would be a good one to do. Oh, I've put X, it's not X, this is erroneous. This would be a good one to do extreme testing on, because extreme would be making sure that the boundary works. So you test 5 and maybe test 6 and show that 5 works, 6 doesn't. But they're not asking us to do that, so we're not going to do that today. That's the test data I'm going to use. And my expected results is error message stating days delivery must be between 1 and 5. Now I might come back and change that because I can't remember what the exact wording I put in was, but I might come to change that to fit the exact wording. That's not a problem. Right, so what I'm going to do in here is I've already opened it, I can use it, so Marcor, and telephone number is 0123 123 456, and then the delivery days is going to be 10, and then I click save, and you must select the delivery days. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Now, the reason for this, and I've just realised this, if I look at the underlying table, I don't know why this is here. Look inside, I've got it locked, that's not a problem. There is actually validation already there. Now, I don't know whether that is just an error because it's it's the sample assessment material, but it's showing me that as opposed to the error in my form. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that. I'm going to go to that and just get rid of it. There we go, because that's a rubbish message anyway. And then I'll see the one that's in my form, and that's what they're examining us on, our ability to do it in the form. So let's quickly go back to the form. Yes, I want to save that. So, yes, there we go, and then go to a new one. Marcor, telephone number 123 123 456, and then click save, And there we go. Now I've got my message here. Okay, so that's what I want to screenshot. I had to, a little bit of an roundabout route to get to it. So back onto this. There we go. Delivery days must between. I'm just going to move that delivery to after days. Delivery days must be between 1 and 5. There we go. And that works, so I can leave that at that. Once you've done that, there's 4 of the test tools. As I say, these last 2 you can do on the same thing. Delivery days cannot be below the bottom of the range, so it's again you can effectively use the exact same one you've done there. So let's go back to here, change that to a 0, try to save again, there we go, and I can screenshot that. That's the next one done. A record will save in the supplier table if supplier details are present and valid. Again, use the same one, change that to 4, and each time in my test data I'm changing it, and I can just copy and paste it and then just change delivery days from 10 to 0, from 0 to 4, click save. Supplier has been saved, and I might take a screenshot of this and then take a screenshot of this showing the marker has been saved. Okay, so I might do 2 screenshots for that one. And then the last test, the last 2 tests I say, is again I would have to come up with a product and a amount that's been delivered. And then I would put that in and say 12 of them have been delivered, and then I'd want to see that this data has been updated. Now, whatever I use, I might want to look at beforehand. So, for example, if I go into table product and say, let's say, large tub of marshmallows is £2 each, I'm going to supply 10 of them, in which case I know that's going to be £2, that's going to be £3, current stock's 55, when I put in 10 that's going to be 65, and basically I work out what these individual ones are going to be, and I would put that into the test table, okay, as the data that I'm expecting, and then I screenshot it, and I can use the exact same. Again, I say I can use the exact same screenshot. To be honest, I would just put 5 and 6. You can put it as 2 separate entries, but you could just put it as one entry, so call it 5 and 6, and put the same test data in, and then for the 6 items that you're expecting, you calculate what they're going to be, you write down what they are, screenshot this, put it in, and you are done. And that is task 7 complete. Now, the other thing, and I'll do it on this, actually not do it on the next video, so that is task 7 complete, and it should take you 20 minutes, probably as long as this video is taken.